You're good.
Oh, I thought we were going to have a video. Good evening, hockey fans. Welcome to another episode of American Beauties, your home for AHL news, notes, talkers, and more. We're brought to you by the Old City Sports Network. My name is Dan Bradley. Alongside me tonight, as always, we've got Sam Wismer. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
First weekend of AHL action officially in the books. The season is underway. And what a weekend it was. There were so many games crammed into a 3-day span. I don't know how we got to cover them all. We got most of them. I think we got about as best we could on it. But week one is in the books. How are you feeling?
First of all, definitely forgot to play the video. So
it happens.
Week one.
Yep.
Friday night, I was going mental with all the games. Deanna from Full Press Hockey, I was messaging her on Twitter. I was just like, how are you keeping up? She's like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I was like, it's impossible. I had the Hartford Charlotte game on my TV, and then I had like my one computer with 2 games on it. I had another computer with another couple games on it. I was just like, my mind was like going everywhere, but it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, we had plenty to cover. I was trying to keep up with social media for my boys, the Cincinnati Junior Cyclones, because they were on the road all weekend, at Toledo Friday, and then at Buffalo Saturday and Sunday. So they were all over
Wow.
this weekend. That's a lot of travel, but they got their first win, so we're on the board. So we'll take it. But yeah, trying to keep up with everything. And that's what we do here at American Beauties, is try and keep up with as much as we can and be your hub for all things AHL. Already a strong start. And I want to jump right in here with some of the first-round picks.
I don't know who this is, but oh, hey, I'm catching American Beauties live. Well,
yeah, you are. Welcome to the show. Why but? Thanks for checking in, streaming on YouTube. So we're rocking and rolling already. Some first-round picks who already are really kind of making a splash on the AHL scene. We talked, I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, about Simon Edvinsson, who had a baller first weekend for the Grand Rapids Griffins, a goal and 3 assists already. Sam, talk about the adjustment from going to the AHL from juniors or from, say, like a national team development program or even from college, where your first-round pick, you're getting ready to make it to the NHL. You're not quite there yet. You go into the AHL. What is that like for those first-round picks in particular?
It's obviously an adjustment, even if you're going from juniors to AHL or juniors to ECHL, or just you're going from a different level of hockey to a more competitive level of hockey, which it's basically just the level below the NHL. You're going to be working towards going to the NHL. There's a different level of competitiveness, the ice, the speed. There's just so much more. And someone like Edvinsson, who has just such an immense amount of talent, is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, he's really, really good, and he's going to be very good for a long time. And Detroit, I mean, they got a good one, and I don't think he's going to be at Grand Rapids too much longer. But for him to be playing probably 22 to 24 minutes a night at Grand Rapids is going to be so key for his development, rather than playing, maybe 10 to 15 minutes a night at the NHL right now. Is he eventually probably your complementary piece to Moritz Seider on that top line? Probably. If that is your top line, that is a loaded group to try and play against. Because those are 2 guys who, I mean, they're big, they move well, they hit. Seider in particular, but I mean, Edvinsson is 6'6", 207. So you got that size, you're going to have to use it. And sticking with Detroit here for a minute, they had a line this weekend where, if I remember the numbers right, the average height of that line was 6'6".
Yeah, I think it was
average
6'6",
something like that, and like average weight of like 210, 215, something like just some big boys on that team.
If I was on that ice now, I'm 5'4", 195 pounds. Like, I wouldn't want to face that line.
No, absolutely not. That's a line that you see jump on the ice, and I might cut my shift a little short here.
Be like,
Dump and change,
coach,
boys. Dump and change.
coach, I'm out.
Yeah. But he was the only first round pick. Edmondson wasn't, who had a solid start. Fabian Lysell with the Providence Bruins, a first round pick there, a goal and 3 assists this weekend. Hendrix Lapierre, who the
I saw him in person.
first round pick. Yeah, you got to see him play. Goal and an assist this weekend.
He's excellent. I saw him play against Lehigh on Sunday, and that kid just not only outworked Lehigh, but was outworking his teammates kind of per se. I if that makes any sense, like he's just that good.
Yeah, he was a player who I have to look up because he slid on draft day through no fault of his own. He ended up going 22nd overall to the Caps. He had a couple of really bad injuries during his draft year. I want to say one was a leg and one was a concussion. And the concussion one was particularly scary. That kept him sidelined for a while. But no one ever doubted that the talent was there. It was just the injury history.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's got all of that behind him, I mean, he's in great shape to be the next guy for the Caps.
And I want to say, like, nothing against first round picks, but sometimes these guys, they're not always your best players.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes your third, your fourth, your fifth, your sixth, even sometimes your 7th round pick that's going to be your best player.
Mm-hmm. Right. And at the AHL level where, some guys take that as a disrespect and they phone it in because they think they should be at the higher level, and you get a wake-up call pretty quick that, no, the AHL is serious. And if you don't take it seriously, you're not going to play.
I mean, I don't know if you watched any of the draft at all, especially the first night, but I did, and watching Shane Wright drop because of his attitude, I think that kind of sent him a little bit of a wake up call. But we don't know that.
I got some buddies that every year we do a live stream during the draft that goes like 4 or 5 hours usually. Like this year, I think we hit 6 hours. Like it was insane. But we geek out over prospects. Kaprizov was a 5th rounder. Good question there. I was asking if Kaprizov was a 4th rounder. Yeah, Kaprizov was a 5th rounder. We see your comments. So just drop a comment below, and if it's a good comment, Sam will put it up on the screen here. And that's how it goes when we're running live. Excuse me. But some other guys as well that I think we're going to have to keep an eye on this year. Didn't necessarily have the same strong start as Lapierre and Lysell and Edmondson, but Maverick Bork with the Texas Stars, William Eklund with San Jose, and then a couple of guys in Manitoba, Brad Lambert and Chaz Lucius. Lambert was a guy that I was hoping the Wild would take. He can play center. He can play wing. Is just fast as can be. Like it is going to blow your mind when you watch him play how fast he is. He's such a good skater.
And I have a lot of friends whose kids play, just hockey around town, and that's how most of these kids get their starts. And they're like, "Oh, well, the coach wants him to play center, but I really want him to play wing." I said, "Let him play both."
Yes.
Like, you don't know how much that's going to serve your kid.
Yeah. Any coach who wants to pigeonhole, and I'm going to talk about this. You just gave me my 2 minutes for roughing on Pod Snipe Sally for next week. The coaches who decide before a player is like 10 years old, like, you are a defenseman, you are a center, you are a goalie, you are like, goalie's a little bit different, but especially with skaters, like, to pigeonhole a kid into a position. And baseball is really bad at this, football is really bad at this, and hockey can get bad at this. Like, let the kids do different things because you never know how it's going to work out. Lambert, I could see him playing anywhere as a forward. And with the group that the Jets have drafted and are building around, and the talent you're going to see coming through Manitoba, like they are really building to something special there. So that's one for me to keep an eye on as well. But yeah, the first round picks making an impact early on. I love that, but that's not all we're going to talk about tonight. We got a lot.
I think that they're having Noah Cates play center, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting.
I think, don't quote me, I could be wrong. It's Tuesday. It's been a long day, so don't take my word for it. But
no worries.
All right. Visit lugaroo.co for all of your custom. I really need to change that. It's not jersey needs. It's
apparel
needs. Yeah. Colin's great. He was on a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's one guy whose word you can count on a Tuesday is Colin to get you taken care of with any of your apparel needs, especially jersey stuff too. But he's moving to that apparel, and it's sweet. That's what our Cyclones boys wear, and I mean they love it.
And that's what the Reading Royals wear too, so that's pretty sweet.
You brought this one up to me in our chat, and I like where this conversation has the ability to go here. Poturalski was the leading goal scorer in the AHL last season, leading Coachella, by the way, to their first 2 wins. So Coachella starting strong. Poturalski has 2 points through 2 games. Teammate Cole Lind, 3 goals and 3 assists for Coachella already. Potsy's got some competition even on his own team for top goal scorer and at the top of the points table. Where's he going to finish this year?
I hope that he can keep this lead as a goal scorer. You know, when he was in Chicago last season, he was basically known as Captain Clutch, and that's what he did. He just scored goals when needed. So it was definitely I would like to see that out of him again. But Cole Lind definitely just comes out of nowhere and is just doing this. I know we're going to talk about Coachella in a little bit, but Poturalski is already alternate captain. He's not captain. Don't quote me. I forget who's captain, but Andrew Poturalski is not. But he's serving his purpose, and I think it's such a great thing when somebody can be on a foundation of a brand new team like this. And 2 wins already, and we're not even 2 weeks in.
Just for those keeping score at home, looked it up. Max McCormick is the captain there.
Okay.
And then Gustav Olofsson is the other alternate. So, hey, Steve, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the show. Poturalski last season, really a remarkable year across the board. 101 points on the season, 28 goals, 73 assists. Was battling with TJ Tynan for that points lead, really until the end of the season. On a per game base, Tynan had him, but it's how many you actually got, not just the overall, on a per game basis. It's the total number. So
and Potsy is just such a smart and intelligent player. It's crazy. You have to watch him in order to just be like, where does this come from?
Right. And he's somebody as well who I would think he would be really good for the development of some of the younger Kraken guys, your Shane Wright, your Matty Beniers, just to be working with those guys and making sure that, that work ethic and that drive that you see that makes players successful at the AHL level and earn that call up. Poturalski is center as well. So he's going to be like competing for those center spots in the lineup and really pushing those guys. So I could see Poturalski being there. I'm going to have a really tough time trying to pick for this year. But Tynan is right there with Lind, tied at 6 points through 2 games. Austin Charnick up there as well, 3 goals, 2 assists. He was the star of the week this week, right? Austin Charnick?
I think he might have been.
I think so. Let's quick take a peek at that and see. Yeah, he was AHL Player of the Week. Charnick was. So, a few guys there that'll all be in the mix throughout the season as well. Plus some of those young guys that we talked about. Fabian Lysell, I think in particular, is someone who, if he doesn't get called up to Boston beforehand, could be your leading scorer as well. If I was a betting man, I would put my money on Tynan, just seeing where he was at last year and how he started this year. But really anywhere that we can go from here.
Yeah. Somebody else that I think could not be the leading goal scorer, but could have a good amount. Not to go back to my own team here, but Elliot Denoye, already 2 goals. I'm going to throw Tyson Forrester into the mix just because he's Tyson Forrester.
Yeah. Kirill Marchenko with Cleveland too. 3 goals already this season there as well. He's a monster for the Monsters. The joke, I had to make it, but 6'3", 187, and the guy is just an absolute machine in the offensive zone. Somebody that we talk highlighter players, somebody that when you get the lineup for your opponent, who is it that you're circling with a highlighter and saying, we have to stop this guy? Marchenko is that guy. Somebody that anytime you play Cleveland this year, you're going to have to watch out for where he's at on the ice.
I know. I was watching it, and then I know, I was typing into Twitter. I'm like, Marchenko again.
Yep.
All right, I'm tired of typing this guy's name.
He's all over too. He got one that was a feed that I don't know how you lose him in the slot, but they did, and he scored, face-off dot center of the slot, and just buried it. He was shooting from sharp angles. He was shooting from good angles, and it didn't matter. Shots were falling. And
I know it was only 1 game, but Cleveland looks better than they did.
Yes.
All last season, and we talked about that. We talked about how some of these teams that didn't make any moves are looking like they didn't make any moves.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go a little bit off book here. Syracuse Crunch. 4 power play goals on 7 opportunities this weekend. 57% for the Crunch on the power play with a perfect penalty kill as well. Watch out for Syracuse.
Yeah.
Your teams that might catch some fire. That's a team that when you get the power play clicking like that.
How did their penalty kill look? Because I forget.
Perfect 4 for 4. So a perfect penalty kill and 4 for 7 on the power play. Taking care of business.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll move on.
All right.
Righteous Felon. We've all been there. 3 o'clock rolls around. Too late for lunch. Too early for dinner. But that growling in your stomach needs an answer. When that mid-afternoon hunger rolls around, reach for a bag of Righteous Felon beef jerky. Made in Westchester, Pennsylvania, Righteous Felon has tons of flavors like OG Hickory, Baby Blues Barbecue, and Habanero Escobar to fill you up right. Use promo code OCSN at checkout on righteousfelon.com for 15% off your order. That's OCSN for Old City Sports Network. Righteous Felon, snack cabinet contraband, fresh from the smokehouse. Now, on last week's show, when we called out Jesse for the Voodoo Child Carolina Reaper jerky, we're going to have to put a side-by-side here to see who had the bigger stumble between me or Jesse. But, man, he was going through the ringer. And if you have not tuned into Flyers Alley to see that, I want to say it's about 19 minutes or so into their show from last weekend. But go on YouTube after this show. Go check out Flyers Alley. Check out the other shows we've got. But make sure you watch Jesse eating the Carolina Reaper jerky. It was very entertaining to watch.
I commented, Jesse, don't die.
Mm-hmm. His first mistake was having water. Are we getting another spicy jerky eating segment? Probably not tonight. Maybe next show.
All right. I
don't think I
volunteer
have
to
it on the
tribute.
desk.
I volunteer to tribute. I will order.
Let's go.
I will order habanero Escobar on
Okay.
Friday. Hopefully, it'll be here by Tuesday. My mail lady doesn't like me very much, and she tends to not drop my packages off in my driveway, which Sassy Sam's got to come out. So,
well, the good news is Righteous Felon will deliver. So even if the postal worker, the delivery personnel won't do it, Righteous Felon will deliver. Good stuff, good flavor. I like that it's not like a super like break your teeth brick beef jerky. It's like soft and chewy.
Yeah. The one flavor I did get this time, I got Darth garlic, which I have sadly
good.
I've sadly eaten both bags because I am piggy. The Maryland flavor, I forget what it's called, Maryland Monroe or something like that. And I got one bag of the Nelson Mandela. So good. Like, I hope it never goes out of stock again because I waited for that for a month.
Was the Maryland Monroe, did that have like Old Bay seasoning? Is that like how they made it? Not to go too far off the rails.
So good. Yeah.
Jerky here. Okay. If it's Old Bay jerky, yeah, that's what why, but I literally turned off the Spotify feed to come watch the video during that segment last week. Yeah, I mean, Jesse, good grief. It was so funny. Let's get back into AHL here. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, do that first. Yeah.
Go to www.oldcitysports.com. That's old with an E, and check out all of our other podcasts, articles, and more. Definitely check out the fan lot. Phillies have made it into the NLCS. Dan, if you told me this a month ago, I would have been like, are you kidding me? But
if you had told me this last week, I don't know if I would have believed you.
But
here they are.
Keep going. Go watch the fan lot. Rachel and Vince are doing a phenomenal job with keeping up with coverage. Rachel just released her first article on the Phillies today. She did a great job. She didn't know she was going to do a great job, and she did a phenomenal job. So yeah. And we have Delco Dive, a beer tasting podcast.
Yeah, that's another one to watch too. Not just, we appreciate the listens on Spotify and everywhere else, but especially for that show, that's one to watch too.
And Chic just put out an article yesterday of like the top 10 like Halloween beers, fall beers that he chose. So yeah, I mean, and we have Flyers Alley too with Jesse. So yeah, definitely just go to the site and check out everything that we have.
We talked about the adjustment for the players, but let's talk about things on the coaching side of things. We've got 7 new head coaches in the AHL this year who have made their first AHL start, and then 3 others who AHL experience but with a new team. So Chicago, Brock Sheehan, Cleveland, Trent Vogelhuber, Coachella, Dan Bilesma, Lehigh, Ian LaPerriere, Manitoba, Mark Morrison. Gotta love the alliteration there. Ontario, Marco Sturm, and then San Jose with John McCarthy.
I don't want to correct you, but this is not Ian LaPerriere's first season. This is his second.
Right, but his first like full season though, wasn't it? Because he like took over No,
last year was his first full.
Someone needs to update Wikipedia.
Yeah,
I looked there. I looked there today, and that's what it had on there. So maybe I did miss somebody here.
But it's fine. We can
we'll move past
him in there because he does need to adjust.
Addendum. And then coaches with AHL experience but a new team: Abbotsford, Jeremy Colleton, Hershey, Todd Nelson, and San Diego, Roy Summer.
Todd Nelson actually has 2 Calder Cups underneath him.
Yeah. So new team, and that's probably why Hershey is going out and bringing him in as a coach to really push that team to get over the hump and get a Calder. Not a team that I know that you would want to see as a Calder team, but
you know what though, it's not a team I'd want to see just because of
rivalry.
The rivalry. Mm-hmm. But they have been pushing for so long to get one. The 2019-2020 season, if it didn't get paused, they would have been champions. No doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. I have to ask, if push came to shove and you had to choose between rooting for Hershey or rooting for Wilkes-Barre, who would you ultimately root for to win the Calder?
Okay. By morals or by bias?
Whatever. This is an open-ended question. I didn't even get through it, and I saw the light bulb go off where you recognized what I was about to ask and the look of terror on your face. That was worth it. The answer at this point, I don't know that it's even relevant, just seeing how stressed that made you to ask that question.
I'm so stressed out to answer this. Hershey.
Yeah.
I'd have to go with Hershey only because we used to be affiliated with them.
Yeah, I figured that was where you were going to go, but
I do have to say, by watching Wilkes-Barre, oh God, was it Saturday or Friday? Oh boy,
last week, we'll just go with that.
it was Friday or Saturday night. It was Saturday. Remember, I went out to dinner. Watching them Saturday, we're going to be meeting our matches this year.
Yeah, Hershey has a fun young squad that they're building around. We talked about Henrik Lapierre earlier on in the show here.
This is like asking me if I'd rather see the Walleye or Fuel win the Kelly Cup.
Yeah, they got my guy Sam Annis too, who nothing yet, but I always liked Sam Annis. Just a fun hockey player to watch.
I mean, they have Dustin Tokarski in net. He was phenomenal.
And he's a guy who can backstop you the whole way to a Calder.
Yeah. But I mean, I completely forgot this even going in. Troy Grosnick was the number 1 AHL goalie in the league last year. Mm-hmm. I sat there. I looked. My friend Chris had told me that stat, and I was like, okay, second player ever to shut me up. I said, Troy Grosnick, I'm going to apologize to you, Troy. I had my doubts. I wholeheartedly apologize to you, sir, and I will never say anything bad ever again.
And let's not forget, they also have Zach Ficali with Hershey. So.
Oh, my God. That guy, he's just phenomenal. I mean, they had Phoenix Copley for 5 seasons. Mm-hmm. Phoenix is great.
I've also got my UMD boy, Hunter Shepard, as the backup to Ficali there, too. So.
They have so many good guys on both of these teams. We're going to be meeting our matches this year. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but Lehigh has just got to get it together.
So let's go back to the coaches here. And Lehigh could be part of your answer here. Which of these coaches, especially among the newer guys who this is their first season AHL coaching, is in the best position for success this year?
I'm not saying Calder Cup, but I'm saying Brock Shahan.
Yeah, that's a really good situation to be walking into with Chicago, especially a team that you have the culture there of having just won the Calder, and even though the team has changed dramatically, as we've talked about on this show before, it's an environment where that degree of success is kind of the expectation. And they've built that culture of success across the organization to the point where you come in and you don't have to, pick up the scraps and really build it up from nothing. Like there's already been something good, a good foundation to build on.
And Brock already has a history of developing players because he's coming from the Chicago Steel.
Mm-hmm.
So he already has that history, which is nice.
Yeah, and when you're working with the younger players at the junior ranks and really getting them, the Chicago Steel just churns out draft picks, all like across the board. A lot of college commitments, a lot of draft picks. Really, one of the flagship programs there. So when you have a coach that's coming out of that type of organization as well, almost as a natural feeder, I definitely agree. That's probably my vote as well. I would make a case for Bilesma as well with Coachella, just because it's literally starting from nothing there. It's kind of the exact opposite situation of Chicago, where you have the expectation of winning, you have the expectation of being a competitive team year after year. Whereas with Coachella, it's, yeah, you're getting all of these relatively new guys and you're just forming the team. But, Bilesma has seen success at the NHL level. He was an assistant coach with Pittsburgh when they won a cup. He has coached the U.S. national team at the Olympics. So he's had this big game experience. But for him now as a head coach at the AHL level, which again is kind of weird that he made it to the pros without that time at the AHL as a head coach there before moving up. I think the way Bilesma coaches sets itself up well for AHL success. Just the systems that they play, the style and tempo that he likes to play with as well. It really breeds success at the AHL level.
And I'm all for female in sports. I know you are too.
Absolutely.
With Jessica Campbell behind the bench,
Yes.
first assistant coach in the AHL, female assistant coach. I think that just sets a precedence for the boys on the bench.
Yes.
All right. It's like, all right, now I got to listen to mom.
Almost, but I don't know who players would rather be hearing from, because I would think who's going to be harder on you, your coach or your mom? That's
mom.
Yep.
If I was Jessica Campbell, I would probably be really hard on the boys.
Of course, you got to, because you're pushing them to that level of success that they've got.
And she is more than well qualified to be behind that bench.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. I want good things for Coachella this year. I like the vibes around that team.
And I want their jersey.
Yes. Oh my gosh, their jersey.
By the way, the replica is $150. The personalization is $80, and you can split both into 4 payments.
Good to know. Tuck that one away. Visit www.norsebeards.com. Enter promo code OCS for 25% off your Norse Beards products. I guess you could run up a total with Norse Beards that is as high as the cost of a jersey. Not sure what they would have for splitting payments, but that 25% off, every little bit helps there. So go check out Norse Beards at norsebeards.com.
Yes. Come on, computer.
The Providence Bruins, really a cool situation there, where they've got 30 years of affiliation with the Boston Bruins. And Sam, you tipped me off to this earlier. That's the longest running affiliation among active AHL clubs.
The longest running, 30 years. Let's just give it a little bit of perspective. I'm 34. So it's basically been running as long as I've been alive.
I'm 30. That it's been my whole life.
So longest ran affiliation, 30 years long. Players that you and I both know have come out of there, like Patrice Bergeron, Marchand. I feel very
talking about Marchand before the show too.
I feel very uneasy saying his name. Krejci, Pasternak, Tuukka Rask. They've all come out of Providence. So these guys have literally been within this system their entire career.
Mm-hmm.
That is what the AHL does. And it's supposed to do. It's supposed to churn these players out until they either leave the organization or they stay for life.
Yeah, I hope that now that we are up to 32 teams, we can get a little bit more of that stability where, I can't imagine that Iowa is going to change their affiliation with Minnesota. I can't imagine that, Calgary is going to change their affiliation from Calgary now that they've got them in the same city. The Baby Pens, it's not going to be the constant turnover every year. Like I think last year we had like 8 or 9 different affiliation changes going into last year, just with Seattle coming into the league and who's fitting where.
And I don't think that they're gonna do a readjustment or like a realignment this summer. Don't make any like don't change any affiliations. Just switch a team.
Yeah.
Just switch a
Keep the
team on the
affiliations in
pivot.
place. Keep the organization steady from top to bottom, and then go from there on your realignment. Because the way things are set up now, 10 teams out west, that's not going to work.
That's just unfair.
No.
But then you have a guy like John Beecher, who was a 2019 first round pick. He's back for his first full pro season. Oscar Steen, he's showing promise through his first 3 years with Providence. Mark McLaughlin, he's coming to Providence after a great season at Boston College or Boston University. And then you have a ton of veteran presence. Connor Carrick, one of my faves. Dan Renoff, AJ Greer, Vinny Lettieri, Keith Kincaid, Kyle Kaiser. It's so nice to hear all these names that I've known for so many years. I love Connor Carrick. He's great.
Vinny Lettieri is a guy that a Minnesota kid that because he went to University of Minnesota, it was Minnetonka High School. Like I've followed him pretty much every step of the way. Providence is a fun team, and we talked about with Lysell in there as well. Like Providence has a good program, and they're a tough team to beat. But when you have that type of organizational stability, and churning out your leaders as well. You mentioned the big name star power, your Rask, your Marchand, your Bergeron. When you have those guys that really not only become the face of the team, but the players that you expect where things are tough, go make a play. Those are the guys who do it. And that standard gets set at the AHL level as you're coming up through the ranks. And 30 years of stability, I mean, it does so much on and off the ice for these players, for the coaching staffs, and being able to know that, hey, this is the system we're running at the NHL level. We're going to run the same thing at the AHL so players can get comfortable with this system. And they know, hey, we want to try switching our power play from an umbrella to a 1-3-1. Let's try it at Hershey, see how Hershey picks up with it, and then we'll take it to Washington and see what adjustments there. Or you see it with Providence where, hey, Bruins are transitioning from a box penalty kill to a diamond. Can we test that with Providence and see how that works out and holds up? You can get multiple organizations on the same page and really churn out that success of your players who fit your systems, know that role, and are able to thrive in that role. Then when they get that call up, continue to thrive.
Yeah, definitely. And I know I speak a lot on veteran presence, but I think that veteran role is just so vital in the AHL, especially if they've had NHL experience. Rochester and Buffalo got to be close to that number, right? I know they split and had dual affiliation for a bit, but those two just make sense being an hour apart. Rochester is, oh God, I can't remember all the affiliations right now. I believe Rochester.
I'm just going to Google here to try and look that one up.
Yeah, please, because I'm losing it.
No worries. I mean, the first one naturally that came up was, of course, the Boston Bruins and Providence.
Sorry.
Let's see if it has it somewhere here.
My fantasy league went off, and I'm just shocked by who just scored a goal. So.
Oh, who scored for you?
JVR.
Yeah, there you go. The much maligned JVR happening to get one here.
Oh, Dougie Hamilton scored one too.
So let's see. So this is the 39th season of affiliation between the Sabres and the Amerks, but it's gone back and forth because the Amerks are in their 65th season overall. So there was a time there where they weren't affiliated. So in terms of overall longevity, 39 years, it's a long time, but there was a break in there somewhere. So the 30 years with Providence and Boston, that's active. So they do have the longest active, but it may not be the longest overall.
Affiliation.
Right.
I tried Googling and they've been together and split and got back together, so I couldn't get a good answer. Yeah, neither can we, so you're not the only one.
Yeah, they're the never mind. I'm not going to get into that. I was going to throw out some celebrity couple, and we don't need to do that on this show. We'll keep it AHL here.
All right. This next segment of American Beauties is brought to you by Sterling Pig Brewery out of Media, PA. I know Jesse is sending me some beer. I'm not sure if it's Sterling Pig or our other sponsor, but hey, Sterling Pig has really good beer, and if you're ever in Media, definitely go check them out.
Absolutely. I could go for a beer. Are we allowed to crack beers on this show? I'm sure we are, Jesse. I didn't think we'd have a problem with it, but
No, he doesn't.
It's about that time. Let's talk Coachella here a little bit, and beyond the sweet jerseys and the hot start that they've had that we talked about already. Coachella responding well to a challenging schedule early on. Their first 22 games of the season are on the road. We talked about it last year with the Islanders, where the New York Islanders had 15 games on the road to start the year while they were waiting for their arena to finish being built. And it can kind of make or break your entire season with the bonding that you go through, the adversity of that much time on the road. What are you seeing from Coachella already that shows like, hey, this might be the real deal in Coachella?
Patsy.
Patsy, yeah.
McCormick, I mean, Cole Lynn, they just have such a good foundation. You see teams like I'm going to go back to the NHL for a minute. You see teams like Vegas, and you see how much of a hot start they got off to. I don't want that to happen for Coachella, for them to get us to such a hot start for 2-3 years of their lifespan and then to just drop off, because we see what's happening with Vegas right now. So I kind of want them to be slow and steady. They're getting a good foundation under them. I think they have a good coaching staff under them, but slow and steady wins the race.
I think that's kind of a reflection too of the Kraken program as well, where unlike what Vegas did for their expansion draft and go out and sign and trade for absolutely everybody with all the draft capital that you've got, I don't think, if I remember right, they don't have any players from their first draft class still on the team. I might be wrong on that. I know they've got rid of their first round pick from that year, their first overall pick, Cody Glass. But I don't think there's anybody from that 2017 draft year that's still in Vegas. I'd have to look that one up too. But Vegas was go big or go home for the first couple of years, and now they've really started to hit a wall. And you see that with Henderson a little bit too, where the younger players that you would be developing through the draft and through the AHL ranks aren't there. Coachella has kind of taken on the opposite of that, where we're bringing everybody in, we're building this thing up, but knowing that there's going to be some guys who Seattle drafts who are going to be here 2-3 years in Coachella as they're getting ready to make it to the NHL ranks or going to stay at Coachella for a while. It's kind of that opposite approach, and I like what they're building to. I think their schedule this year could set them up to be kind of flash in the pan, and especially, that long start on the road, but that means you've got to add a lot of home games in there as well in the back half of the year.
And they're on the road for the first 22 games. And then I was reading on AHL.com, they're actually going to go to Seattle's arena for 4 quote unquote home games. And play in that arena. So they'll get some NHL ice experience, which is pretty cool. I mean, what are you going to say? Oh yeah, my first year of my pro career, I got to play in an NHL arena, but I was an AHL player.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking about that back half, if they can build that solid foundation on the road this first half of the season, their schedule has them at home for 32 of the last 50 games.
And when you're pushing for the playoffs and you got the fans excited, you got the fans bought in, knowing that you've got a chance to make it, maybe get home ice in a series or two. Those games down the stretch at home, they matter. And the points get tougher as the season wears on, but it definitely helps to have a home crowd behind you for that home stretch of the season.
Yeah.
So
that's one arena that I would definitely be interested in getting out to, because I have plans to go up and visit Providence and Springfield next month. So
NHL and AHL, I hope throughout the course of my life to make it to every NHL and AHL arena. It's going to take a lot of time to get to, and I am still very, very early in that process. But that's the goal.
Yeah, Springfield is a very small arena. I've already been there, obviously, but it's a very small arena, but it's very quaint.
Yeah,
In a very small town.
You get the fun charm of it where, is it a small town barn where everybody's kind of packed on top of each other and on top of the ice? Is it more spread out and kind of a social thing? You get different atmosphere at every rink, which is awesome.
If everyone looks at our background here, that was taken in Springfield.
Oh, the picture background here for
that was right before they came out for Calder Cup warm-ups.
There you go.
Right.
This segment of American Beauties is brought to you by Neshaminy Creek Brewing. Visit www.neshaminycreekbrewing.com. Check out their awesome beers, merch, and much more. Let's get into one of the weirder situations that we had.
I thought it was funny to hit on.
Speaking of weird barn happenings and what happens in the arena, the Utica Comets, there was a local power outage which affected the power to the building, and the arena was without power. Fans were literally left in the dark.
It's always wild to me, the cities that get AHL and ECHL teams. Like Cincinnati has NFL and MLB teams, but has an ECHL teams, and tiny towns have AHL teams. Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, I think it's kind of great that some of these, like, there was talk when the NHL was going to add a 32nd team of Milwaukee as a city that could be added, and I didn't want that because of how much Milwaukee loves the Admirals and really embraces that. And I wouldn't want to take that away. But in some areas, like, you can get the same market, like Calgary, like that's a market where it makes sense to have both together. So a very interesting dynamic. That's a good point there from our commenter there. Utica's power problem. So fans, those with the lights on their cell phones were able to see at least a little bit, but they had to ask people to stay in their seats. The ushers kept people, about as calm and informed as you can when the building's without power and you're trying to run on backup generators for everything you need. But they had to cancel the game, and I think they were still in the first period of that game too.
Let me look that up real quick. They were in the second.
Okay. I knew they weren't to the third period at least.
So this was out 5 hours ago. They have a new date. We'll pick up where we left off on January 24th, winning 2-1. They have to put that in there. I love Utica.
Yeah, suspended. Yeah, 19 minutes of the second period.
Winning 2-1, 2:43 left in the second.
Mm-hmm.
They do want to take today to express their sincerest gratitude towards everyone who went out of their way to help evacuate the building safely last night. First responders, ushers, and facility staffers, but also our many selfless fans. This generosity is what makes us one big family. If that happened to me, I would have been like, let's just play some hockey.
I tell you, it is a very weird feeling when the lights go off in the arena. I had this happen to me actually a couple weeks ago where after our game, I'm sitting at the scorer's table trying to get all of the penalties written down and make sure that the online scoring matches the score sheet. And everybody in the building had cleared out of the actual arena part. So they shut off the lights in the arena. And I'm in the dark at the scorer's table needing to walk across the ice to get back to the locker room. I didn't walk across the ice in the dark. I was not going to take that chance. But
But
it's a very, very weird feeling when the lights are off in the building. And I can't imagine having, tens of thousands of people there as well in a building where the lights went out. So
I'm can imagine it was scary.
a little bit, not like terrified, scary, but just like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like
Now I'm not sure if our friends over at the Calder Farmstead, CC Hockley and Sean O'Brien made this, or if Utica made this, but somebody made this, and it is hysterical.
shout out CC, who was on the show here a few weeks ago for sharing this with us and bringing it to our attention. The Utica Comets releasing a statement regarding their alternate jerseys. We regret to announce that the Comets will not be wearing their alternate blackout jersey this season because, you know why. I do like that jersey, but man, the AHL chirps coming out strong the first week of the season. I already love that.
I'm telling you, if there are any accounts you want to follow on Twitter that will make you giggle, it is AHL, because they chirp at each other and they chirp hard. Utica put out something yesterday way before the game started, and it was like they typed into Google, can penguins fly? And Google answered back, penguins cannot.
Yeah.
I died of laughter. I was cracking up.
I don't know if you knew this, but penguins are my favorite animal. So it was just even funnier for me. I'm like, I know, like it took me a minute to realize, oh, that's because they're playing the Penguins today. That's where this is coming from.
I didn't put our next thing in there, but we do have to read Fanatics, our Fanatics ad.
Yes, we will have the promo code for Fanatics with the link there in the description after the show. But that's what's it? I want to say 15%, maybe.
I think so.
Off your Fanatics order when you go through our link that will be up at the end of the show here as well. So be in the comments and we'll have it figured out. We shared it on last week's show, so we had it somewhere. Go back and watch last week's show too. We had a blast.
So this next thing, I didn't make a banner for it, but this next thing is for our captain here at Old City Sports, Mr. Jesse Bell. Jesse, Nate Thompson currently has a very short-term job, but he could make it into a full-term job. He has on a PTO with the Ontario Reign.
There you go. That was some late breaking news that we got just before the show.
And then the suspension of Mitchell Stevens for 2 games.
Yeah, Mitchell Stevens of Laval Rocket was suspended for 2 games, a cross-check to the head in the game against Belleville. And one of those that I'm glad they caught it, because that type of play happens a lot. It was the goalie covered the puck, didn't like the flyby going by the net, threw a shove to kind of clear out traffic, and it was a retaliatory play. To me, 2 games is about right for a suspension here. I don't think that's I don't think it's one to argue. It's one that if he cross checks here instead of here, he's probably not sitting for 2 games. But checks to the head, like you got to call that. So
yeah, because
no surprise on the suspension there. Did already serve 1 game too.
Yeah, head injuries are no joke. Buffalo Bayou Brewing. Visit www.buffbrew.com and check out their menu of beer and food. And if you're in the Houston area, definitely go give them a check out.
Sam, last thing here before we sign off for the night. Looking ahead at this upcoming week's schedule, what do you have kind of pegged as your game of the week here? We did this last week with Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm not asking you to pick one game every day. Just looking ahead at the rest of this week. What is the game that you've got circled on your calendar that you want to watch?
Well, since I don't have a game Friday, I think I might actually just check out Texas Stars and Iowa Wild, honestly.
I was going to say that one, so I'll have to quick scramble to find another one here, but the division rivalry there, the organizational rivalry as well between Dallas and Minnesota, literally taking our team in the middle of the night and packing up the North Stars and moving them to Dallas. That I'm still not over that. Norm Green still sucks. I think Friday night between Abbotsford and Coachella, I think is one that is going to be one of my must watches. That I could see very quickly turning into a rivalry. Just the geographic proximity of their parent clubs as well. That should be a really fun one.
I know we play Cleveland on Saturday and play someone on Sunday. Give me a minute here.
Cleveland again.
So, on Sunday. So, and it's a home opening weekend, so it should be fun. I talked to my ticket rep earlier. Apparently, we are like sold out.
Sweet.
That has not happened in 3 or 4 years.
I'm telling you that the Phantoms this year are going to be a team to watch. One other game that I wanted to highlight, just because we don't talk about these teams as much, just because of the teams that we're fans of, but Calgary, Colorado this weekend as well. Two teams that wouldn't be surprised to see them meet in the playoffs. And two solid programs this year.
I'm definitely going to check out a Coachella game just because I want to pay a little bit more attention to them, just because they are so new.
Yeah, new kids on the block. You got to watch. But I think that's a good place to end for tonight. So thank you again to all of our sponsors for making American Beauties possible. Righteous Felon, Neshaminy Creek Brewing, Norse Beards, Buffalo Bayou, Lugaroo Jerseys, Sterling Pig Brewery, Old City Sports Network. We could not do any of this without your support of our program and our show as well. So thank you so much to everybody there that we just mentioned. That's it for today's episode. Thanks to everybody who tuned in live. Remember, you can catch us anywhere that you are streaming your podcasts, Spotify. Go back and rewatch on YouTube. But we are live Tuesday nights, roughly 8:30 start time for this show. Mm-hmm. But that's all for tonight. She's Sam. I'm Dan. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody.
Bye, guys.